Welcome to the Road to Non-Executive Directorship Success podcast. Today we are joined by Neel Naipal. He is a senior insurance regional manager with over 16 years experience working for top-notch organizations that include Sanlam, Old Mutual, and Discovery. He is also an independent director of Comensa, which is the Coaches and Mentors South Africa. In terms of his qualification, Neel is well decorated. Neel has got several qualifications, including a qualification from Harvard University, the leadership program. He also has a master's MBA degree from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as a BCom, as well as BCom honors, also from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. From Stellenbosch, Neel also has a postgrad certificate in business management. He is also a certified in terms of South African financial sector regulation. He's got an RE1 to 5. He's also a certified director with the Institute of Directors, South Africa. He is also a Toastmaster International Speechcraft level 1. So this man is loaded. He's got all that you need. He's also an alum of the Anvil Advisory Director Mentorship Program. I'm going to ask maybe just a few personal questions, just to start the conversation. Can you share a bit of a background in terms of what inspired you to seek positions in terms of board of directors?
We've always been in corporate organizations and so forth. And from a young age, I've always had an interest in business. But you realize that beyond the CEO, the board of directors plays the most critical role, and that's where decisions emanate from. So after completing my MBA, I realized, you know what, that's the area that I'd like to get involved in, because that's a center of influence, and particularly from a governance perspective, because fundamentally we go back to what's the purpose of business in serving communities as much as maximizing shareholder value. But how do we do it at that level? And therefore, I said, you know what, I'd rather go in and look what's out there and to give me the skills so that I can know how I could act on boards. And that's where the journey started.
Okay, fantastic. I'm told that getting into boards is very difficult. It's a challenge. From your side, what are some of the challenges that you faced as you were trying to get into the boardroom?
Yeah, so once I completed all my certifications, I thought, well, now I've got the certification, and it therefore becomes easy for me to find roles, because that's what by having qualification may mean. But you realize it's just like a job. You've got to go out there and you really apply for roles. People need to get to know you, what your skill set, what you need. And so that's where the biggest challenge was in terms of this, is finding a board role. And in doing so, I applied for many jobs. I spoke to many people. I did a lot of networking with like-minded people. And I think through that process as well, you start to learn about boards and how they operate by talking to different people, because it's just not about the qualification and what you can do, but how the entire board operates. But most certainly, the challenge in finding a board position was one of the biggest challenges in this journey.
Okay, that's great. And I know that you graduated from our director mentorship program. How did you come about this? What happened? Right? I think this is almost a year ago, from today. How did you come across our director mentorship program?
I think through this whole process, it was about the importance of networking and getting to know people, and that also opened a new aspect for me to learn about. And so every time I made contact with people, we interacted, we touched base, either telephonically or connected via LinkedIn, and I think that's where I met you in one of the mentorship groups at the IUD, and then once we connected, I saw this program that's come up and whatsoever, and I read into it, and yeah, and then I think that's where I said, you know what, here's someone who's been down the road, who knows what's going on, and that's therefore I wanted to get to know more about the program. So definitely, through networking and being in touch on LinkedIn really helped.
That's wonderful. Yes, that's very interesting. Now, of this program, I know you say that it was really, it really brought some results in terms of you looking for boards. But I just want to check from you, in terms of this program, what part of it did you say that from this part of or these sessions, this is where I got the best, most transformative part of the whole program? What sections were very transformative for you?
Yeah, so I think that the education or the certification leading up to it doesn't put you in the shoes of a board member, and by being part of this program and having your experience being shared with us, kind of
Mm, mm,
crafted a different aspect of serving on a board. And I think me particularly was the soft skills aspect, about your personal
yes.
brand, who you are
Mm,
as a person, your leadership style, because fundamentally it's about leadership when you're serving on a board. And I think that resonated very well with me, to the small things about how to improve your outlook as an individual as well. I
mm,
mean, those
mm,
those
mm.
things were really beneficial, which I've taken forward, and the manner in which you communicate with others. So
Yes,
I think for
yes,
me,
yeah.
those are the things no one's going to tell you. No one's going to go out there and say, you know what, you need to dress in a particular way, you need to speak in a particular way, you need to
Yeah.
show up a particular way. And that is what this program has really, really taught me about.
Yes, you are correct. Because at university, they don't tell you how to dress and, those
Exactly.
things. They're not part of the curriculum. But yeah, I'm glad it helped. I just want to check something again. They say that network is your network. In terms of networking, how did this program help you in terms of building your network and, to build that network that can help you as you search for boards?
Yeah, I think in the program itself, it gives you angles on how to look for board roles, who to be in contact with certain recruiters, how to put yourself out there, and then also the overall, having an open mind when talking to
Mm,
people,
mm.
and that's what the program has taught me, from building my network, and then obviously from there, from some of the people that you meet in the program who are going through similar things, and then I think also the importance of certain social networks and so forth is shared in the forum, or in the program, and I think those are some of things that we really benefited from. And then I think there was aspects on some people didn't know about how to even network, and that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
where
yeah.
where where practical examples were shared in how you go about doing it. So that's where I learned to build my network, over and above the network that I currently have as well.
All right, that's fantastic. That's fantastic because you really need a network that can really help you, not just anyone who might be, a liability, to your career.
Correct.
You need someone who's going to add value, to your career. Now, going back, you mentioned something that is very important. You say that a leadership style, you also discovered that. I want to take you back to that because in the program, there is a session about self-awareness and leadership awareness. Tell me, how did this shape your leadership, to discover your leadership style?
So I've been in a leadership role for about 9.5 years now. So, and what's the important thing about leadership is that there's always something new to learn. So I've learned different leadership ways, styles, or or thought leadership aspects through the organization I work at. But I think here it brought a very different style to it, being in a director's role. So I had to reflect on myself in terms of what I do at a corporate level. I had to reflect on what
Yeah.
I need to do now. But fundamentally, it was about self-awareness and knowing who you are and what you can deliver on, and how you can actually appeal to people, because people always also want guidance as much as you want guidance. Everyone in this vicinity is working towards learning different things and learning different
Yes.
aspects. So most definitely it made me reflect on my leadership style and how I do things.
All right, that's awesome. The program is designed around King 4. So
Mm.
I know certain sessions around King 4. And can you just say, how did it enrich your corporate governance knowledge, going through the King 4 framework, during the program?
So a bit of my background was in my undergraduate degree. I studied law as part of my BCom qualification, a field that I enjoyed, but it was just the law as the law is put down. What I liked about King 4, it was more guidance around processes and what needs to happen in business. And it added on to the law that we exactly have. And then you also learned about the fact that King 4 is a South African
Yes,
guideline out
yes.
there. And then we learned about the ISO 37000, which is an international guideline. So it's interesting to look at the boat and see, where a company is going. Are they moving towards King 4? Are they moving to ISO 37000? But nevertheless, I think the underlying principle there is to enhance the law and the rules that are in place in terms of the Companies Act. And I think King 4 most certainly has given me more into what's your purpose as a director, what we need to do, and how we need to act in order to ensure that it
Mm,
conforms with the law and what's best
yes,
for
yes.
what's best for the organization and public.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Now, with all this program and all that, you are saying that this program was fruitful. It brought results and change to your career. Now, tell us, where are the board positions? What happened in terms of your committees? Where were you appointed, and what committees are you serving?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a journey. Like I said, at times it could be very frustrating, and the thing is this: when you network and from those that you least expect, something did come out, and that's what happened to me in that instance. And I was fortunate enough to be appointed as an independent director for Comensa, which is Coaches and Mentors South Africa. So I
Mm,
serve
mm,
on their board, and yeah, it was such um, what can I say? It was such a important moment for me,
yeah,
considering the amount of work I've put behind it to get to where I want to be. And I
mm,
think for me now, it's just to see how it's not only about the role that I've got, but how can I add value? How can
mm,
I
mm,
learn? How I can add value to the organization and do what's best in terms of the role of an
mm,
independent
mm.
director. So yes, finally landed one, and I'm quite glad to be on their board.
Yes, yeah, that's great. And I know that once you've got one, you're gonna find more coming, and and things are gonna get better and better.
Yeah, look, I mean, fundamentally, um, for now, I'd prefer to remain on one board purely because of my
Okay.
corporate commitment.
Mm, mm.
But I think what's important is to learn from it, being
Yeah.
my first role,
Mm,
gain experience, chat to people, so
mm,
that in the future, once my term is over, then it opens doors for other opportunities. And I think
yeah.
also what's
Mm,
most important is that from the learnings from there, you can bring it back into whatever else you do, because it's a different area
yeah.
of the
Mm.
business, and you then opened up to a whole lot of aspects which you never had exposure to. On the other hand, I think what I do bear in mind is that it's not about, the position now that I'm a director. It's what's important
Uh,
is about it's about the accountability and that comes
yes.
with the liability as a director, and to not say I just got a role, but to say I'm going to do the best to be the best director for this organization,
Yes.
keep up with the latest legislation, and what's taking place in the industry to do the best for the organization.
Yes, it's all about saving. And I wish we had more leaders, like you, especially in those high, places, so that we can shape our country. We really, respect and honor all your effort and, wish you the best in your career. But before you go, I just want to ask, what advice do you have for those who are aspiring to serve in boards and to be in corporate governance, position? What's your advice?
So, firstly, I think people need to know what they're getting into, and
Mm,
speak to many people out there.
mm,
Uh, it's going to ask for a small investment in training programs, um, 1 or 2 day sessions with experienced people on board. And you got to invest in yourself in
mm,
terms of knowing what you're getting into. It's just not about the position, like I've mentioned earlier.
mm.
Um, Networking is absolutely critical, and by networking, not only would you hear about opportunities that you could apply for, but you chat to people and you gain their experience of what they're currently going through on a board. So when you get onto a board, you know what to expect, uh, and to never give up. I mean, for me, that's the number one motto for me in my life, is to keep on trying every single thing that you can. Do it with the right purpose. If you're doing things with the
Yeah.
right purpose, you're doing things not only about for yourself, but for the betterment of your community, then the right things will cling to you.
Mm, mm,
So I think coming in with a mindset of, it's not only about the title, but how I
mm,
give back
mm.
and what I can do to enhance things, and constantly upskilling yourself will definitely
Yes,
get you
yes.
somewhere. Yeah,
Mm, mm.
yeah.
Thank you.
Never,
Thank
never
you
have a
for
never
that.
give up never give up attitude.
Yes, yes. You need to keep on going, to be relentless, knocking on
Yes,
those doors again and again as you refine your strategy as you move forward. Thank
yes.
you so much, Neil, for this advice. I think the listeners and the viewers, they will find it very useful. And I think, today we didn't touch a lot, but I think we should call you again, so that we focus on one of these areas and, go into detail, so that we learn from you. You've got a lot to offer, and we really appreciate you. So thank you so much for being on this podcast. We hoped to meet you again in future.
Thank you, Taka. Thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, all the best with the program. And for those students that do join in, I wish you all the best. I think you're going to learn immensely, and I must say your program was absolutely wonderful. I've learned quite a lot, and as a result, this is where I am. And all the best to you.
Thank you, Neil. Enjoy
Okay,
the rest of the day.
okay. Cheers, and bye bye.
Okay, bye.